They quietly installed bail-in rules into your deposits. Reposition before the next freeze. Picture this. Your bank app still shows your balance, but transfers fail. Payroll bounces. Vendors stop shipping. Your money exists as a number, not as mobility. Most people think collapse looks like riots and bank runs. It doesn't. It looks like a clean administrative process that keeps the machine running while you get gated, queued, and explained to later. I pulled Dodd-Frank Title II language, FDIC Orderly Liquidation Authority rules, and the Federal Register blueprint that turned resolution into a practiced procedure. 4 items. Each one is a named instrument, a named rule, and a named trade-off you can verify fast. Not vibes, not doom, law, plumbing, priority. And the last one on this list, the freeze trap that kills you while your statement still looks healthy, is the payoff. Wait for it. Here's Rule 0. Cash in a bank isn't property. It's a claim. That's not philosophy. That's the legal category that decides whether you eat or wait. Your enemy isn't a cartoon villain. Your enemy is the resolution machine, pre-written playbooks, administrative receivership, and priority waterfalls that protect system function first and your access schedule last. I filtered these against 4 criteria. 1. A named instrument in statute or ECFR. Something that survives election slogans. 2. A published implementation blueprint in the Federal Register, not a press release. 3. A mechanical advantage you can map to your own cash placement, where the freeze can bite. 4. A real trade-off with teeth, haircut risk above insurance limits, access delay, or friction you pay up front to avoid becoming a hostage. Most people prep guns and generators and then leave their entire working life inside one fragile institution. You don't. You reposition before the headline. 4 instruments cleared the filter. Here they are. Number 1. Title II Orderly Liquidation Authority, the orderly obliteration. It's not a bank failure. It's an engineered resolution where creditors eat the loss. Picture the moment the headlines hit. Systemic risk. ATMs still work. Cards still swipe. And behind the curtain, your bank stops being a business and becomes a case file. This isn't a normal bankruptcy. It's Dodd-Frank Act Title II, Orderly Liquidation Authority. The FDIC becomes receiver for a covered financial company once systemic risk findings are made. Fast, administrative, designed to keep operating subsidiaries functioning while losses get forced upward. Most people think the danger is a messy collapse and a bailout debate. It's not. It's receivership plus a recapitalization plan. Under the FDIC's single point of entry strategy, the top-tier holding company is the entry point, and the system keeps running while the loss gets allocated through bail-in mechanics. This was operationalized in public. Federal Register, Resolution of Systemically Important Financial Institutions, the single point of entry strategy. 78 Fed. Reg. 76614. December 18, 2013. That's the blueprint going from theory to procedure. Now the trade-off. Insured deposits are still intended to be protected in many failures. Your real risk is access delay and haircut risk above insurance limits, while the receivership machine processes claims on its timetable. The blade needs a handle. Number 2 shows you the priority waterfall, exactly where you sit when the cut happens. 12 CFR Part 380, the priority plunge. You don't have money in a bank. You hold a ranked claim in a liquidation stack. 2 numbers decide whether you make payroll in a freeze, your queue position, and the number of days you can survive without that cash. 12 CFR Part 380 is the FDIC's Orderly Liquidation Authority rulebook. This is where deposit gets treated like what it is in a stress event, a claim. Read Section 380.21 on priorities. Then read Section 380.27 on treatment of similarly situated claimants. That's the language that limits preferential treatment and tells you the system is built to be procedural, not personal. FDIC Federal Register materials around Part 380 get explicit about how similarly situated gets discussed, including terms like long-term senior debt with maturities more than 360 days. Translation. This regime thinks in buckets and maturities, not in your rent due date. So your tactics are mechanical. 1. Cap any single bank cash balance to what you can afford to have frozen for weeks. 2. Split operational cash across institutions with different failure correlations. Different holding company trees, not different logos. 3. Treat uninsured balances as a conscious risk on position, not a convenience. A Gulf Coast contractor put it blunt. I don't care what they promise. If payroll hits the same bank that's in the headlines, you're dead for a month. Trade-off: fragmentation costs you more accounts, more reconciliation, more fees. That friction is the price of not becoming a single point hostage. The waterfall is the rulebook. Next is the pre-wired failure script that makes the rulebook executable. 2 instruments down, 2 to go. Now you've seen the blade, Title 2, and you've seen the priority plunge, Part 380. Next comes the failure framework, living wills, under 12 CFR Part 243 and the parallel FDIC rule at 12 CFR Part 381, where banks pre-map how to keep the system running while your access gets managed. Keep your spine. The freeze trap doesn't announce itself. It just starts denying movement. Resolution plans, living wills, the failure framework. Banks pre-map their own collapse so the system keeps moving while you get managed. They don't wait for the panic to start writing the script. They write it while everything feels normal, and they file it like a routine compliance document. The instrument is the resolution plan requirement. Living wills, under 12 CFR Part 243, paired with the FDIC's parallel rule at 12 CFR Part 381. That's where the biggest institutions are forced to map legal entities, critical operations, shared services, and the step-by-step path through failure without serious adverse effects on the system. Read that again. The goal is system continuity, not your access continuity. This is the structural advantage for the machine: pre-coordination. The map exists before the fire. So when a trigger hits, the playbook is already built to keep payment rails, card networks, and operating subsidiaries functioning while the top gets recapitalized, sold, or sliced. Your deposit isn't taken. Your mobility gets scheduled. Trade-off: your defense has a cost too. If you spread operating cash across multiple institutions and rails, you pay it in admin hours and fees, and you accept that one bank relationship won't give you the same credit terms. A Midwestern bookkeeping clerk told you the truth without ideology. If the portal says pending, the owner can scream all day. Vendors still want cleared funds. Now you know they pre-planned the failure. Next, you get the trap that hits while your statement still looks fine. The freeze trap, the liquidity lockdown. Your balance can look healthy while movement gets gated by design. Remember the opening, the payoff. The freeze trap that kills you while your statement still looks healthy. This is it. This is where the herd learns, too late, that money and movement are different categories. You already saw the blade and the waterfall. Here's the mechanism that makes them survivable for the system and lethal for you. Administrative gating. Under Dodd-Frank Title II, the FDIC as receiver can run a bridge financial company and keep essential functions online while claims get processed and liquidity gets rationed. That's how you get the cleanest form of control. Your app shows a number, but outbound transfers fail. Wires get delayed, and limits tighten without a bank holiday headline. The structural advantage is operational continuity with throttled access. Cards can keep swiping because it stabilizes the public. Meanwhile, larger movements, business ACH, wires, vendor payments, become permissioned events inside a resolution timeline. Trade-off: your repositioning costs real convenience. To beat the lock, you keep a separate liquidity stack outside your primary bank. More accounts, more friction, and the discipline of treating extra yield on uninsured cash as bait. Most people will beg a branch employee for exceptions. You won't. You'll structure so you don't need permission. That's 4. Now run the pattern. These 4 instruments share one thing the herd refuses to learn. Your bank balance is a ranked claim inside a resolution machine built to preserve system function first. Title II provides the authority. Part 380 gives the priority waterfall. Parts 243 and 381 force the institutions to pre-map the kill chain. And the freeze trap is the operational outcome. Mobility gets managed while optics stay calm. Dark truth: none of this requires a collapse. It only requires a designation, a receiver, and time. The system can look stable while your liquidity starved. Now do your reconnaissance. Pull the FDIC single point of entry Federal Register entry, 78 Fed. Reg. 76614, December 18, 2013. Read 12 CFR Section 380.21 and Section 380.27. Then audit your own cash. Cap uninsured exposure per institution, diversify rails, and keep a separate liquidity stack that doesn't need bank permission to move. The math doesn't care about your feelings.